Faraday served us all tea, and we drank it. It was delicious. I wandered around their work shed, teacup in hand. There were plans all over the walls, shelves filled with models, and a pile of glider parts in the back. It was clear he tried out a number of different body types, and the sheer variety displayed in the plans, models, and parts lit fire to my imagination.
"George," Stephen said, "want to help make planes after school? And on holidays if you're really interested."
I gaped at him. It hadn't even crossed my mind he might offer, and there I was going, but instead of yes, 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 please, 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 because nobody had ever asked me to join a group before, and I'd wanted a friend like Sukumajuku, but didn't ever imagine myself joining the group, and I was scared. This was so beyond my wildest dreams it left me petrified. I couldn't believe it was happening. Mouth flapping, I eventually managed to say, "Then once I've proven I deserve to be here." They both laughed.
"No need."
But I needed it. I thought frantically. There is a sunken glider at the bottom of the cliff," I said. "If you've given up on it, can I have it?"
"Sure," Stephen said, "but that's been underwater a while now."
"Yeah, I'll pull it out, dry it off, and look it over. You know why it crashed?"
"No. Kenton said it fell like a bird or something hit it, and then it just fell apart in the air."
"Then I guess my girl should be figuring out why it crashed, correcting that, and making it fly again." Kenton broke up laughing. "That's a pretty lucky first go. Why you want to start out by surpassing us? Sounds good. You don't fake smile." "Oh? Should I go for something a little easier?"
"Don't even think about it. No, take it back now. Man, I don't know if you're bold or wimpy, but don't worry. We'll help."
So we all took the wagon back to the cliff and pulled the shattered glider out of the water.
"Good thing my wings are out," Stephen said.
He did almost all the work of getting the glider up. All I could really do was take the pieces from him and load them into the wagon. We took it back to the Joestar manor and unloaded the pieces in a corner of the garden. There were any number of missing parts. Steve offered to share from his stash, but I refused, hell-bent on repairing the glider on my own. I did borrow some documents from him, and began studying them intently, learning as much as I could about airplanes while repairing the glider. The White brothers were one step ahead of everyone else in aeronautics, and had successfully built a manned propeller plane the year before. Stephen and Kenton had been studying wing warping controls, and the glider I'd seen them fly, Motorizing 7, was the result. The one we pulled out of the water was Motorizing 5. Motorizing 6 had been smashed against the cliff face by a sudden gust of wind, destroying it. Stephen had been forced to open his wings and grab his sister out of the air.
"Since Stephen has his own wings," Kenton said, "he can't really turn a fair about airplanes. I haven't want to be like Stephen, so they've done me fine, but I'm always in danger of crashing. So Stephen has to stick by me, and seeing him fires me up, and I wind up taking even more risks."
Some sister. The other sister never came near the work shed again, but she was in class and we talked occasionally. Even if Darlington brought up airplanes, I wouldn't talk about them. I'd no idea what pranks the other kids might pull, and if their efforts to torment me caused trouble for Stephen and Kenton, that'd be just awful. We had nothing much to talk about besides airplanes, so we ended up talking about novels. Darlington didn't seem like a heavy reader to me, but she had almost all the books I'd acquired on the Canary Islands, and offered to loan me books I hadn't read yet. I assume I'd picked them up while visiting Stephen, but she went so far as to set a date and time, and the day in question was when our class ended early, but Stephen and Kenton were still at school, so I'm pretty sure I was going to end up waiting in the parlour for them to get home for ages. I'd yet to set foot inside the motorised manor, but could easily imagine it not being anything like as fun and carefree as their shed, and I was only really reading novels when I was taking breaks from studying airplanes, and would gladly have given them up if it meant I didn't have to keep talking to Darlington, but she was so insistent it seemed much easier to just go instead of trying to worm my way out of it, so I went. When I mentioned this the day before, Kenton laughed.
"Ah, that explains why she keeps borrowing novels from Dad's library and scowling at them. She was making excuses to talk to you."
"Huh?" Stephen winced.
"Ken, don't tell him."
"Nah, it's cute. I'm sure she's got a crush on you, George."
No way, that can't be right," I spluttered.
"Why not?"
"Well, I think she's pretty popular with the boys in class, and because I'm the only one not very interested, she winds up trying to get my attention. I'm like the prize of a hunt and she'll keep it up till she's satisfied. But it's not really me she wants. I can sense it. There's like a stubbornness there, like Darlington's trying to find the right strategy to get to me. Both Kenton and Stephen looked rather surprised.
Ha! Aren't you perceptive? Kenton said. I think you've hit the nail on the head, but consider me impressed. Boys your age generally get pretty carried away the second a girl like Darlington shows the slightest interest.
I don't know. I don't have any other friends, so I'm sort of happy she comes and talks to me at all. And since Darlington talks to me, the others are leaving me alone more. I'm sure they'll be back once Darlington tires of her toy.
Huh. George, are you already in love with someone else?
Kenton grinned. My thoughts instantly went to Lisa, to my horror. Why Lisa? Why now?
No, I'm not. Ah, you're flustered. That means you are. I know it. I'm not. You absolutely are. That's nice. I don't know why you think you need to hide it. You don't. Because I'm not. You so are.
At last Stephen saved me.
Cut it out. You've toyed with George as much as Dot does.
She did. Point well made.
Well, George is that type. You can't help messing with him. Listen, George, I know you've had all kinds of bad stuff happen to you, but that was because you were surrounded by children. Children are idiots who don't know how they should behave. They want to tease you a bit, but wind up being really mean, because they suck at it. Lots of boys end up being really mean to the girl they've got a crush on, you know. But you're in high school now, so you're about to become really popular. Look forward to it. You're plenty good looking, if bizarrely gloomy.
This caught me so off guard I didn't know how to answer. I could hear a denial echoing through my mind, but no thoughts formed. Then Kenton added,
But I guess you won't care. You're already in love.
I love you, Lisa. Oh! Why did I just think that? I was dying of embarrassment. I'm not in love. I'm not at all, I shrieked.
I've been debating whether to mention this or not,
Stephen said.
But you live with your mother and another really pretty woman, don't you?
Eh? Penelope?
Really? Huh? George, you're already living together? Wow!
Kenton had clearly lost it completely, and Stephen wouldn't stop grinning.
You're a lucky boy,
he said. I didn't know he had it in him. This was such a weird thing to say, it calmed me down. Nothing like that. Kenton and Stephen both went wide-eyed.
Oh.
Huh?
He's telling the truth.
Huh.
Then it's someone else he loves. Somewhere else. Did he live up behind the Canary Islands?
Elizabeth Straits was in Rome now, right? Me too, George. I love you too. Oh, why was she saying that? Why was I thinking about it again? Enough!
I'm not. Liar, you just went bright red.
I'm not. I swear I'm not.
The way you can't lie at all is so fun and adorable, George.
And I got teased mercilessly for it. That night, in the simple tent I'd set up in the garden in place of a proper work set, I finished putting together the parts of the glider we'd saved, about 70% of it, and it finally looked like an airplane. Looking it over, I noticed 2 sets of 4 parallel grooves on top of the white top ring. I couldn't see them as anything but the claw marks, left by some 4-fingered thing that had grabbed the wing, and the location of the marks was clearly where the glider had started to fall apart. One of the wires that warped the rings was severed in just that spot. It spooked me. Kenton had said she hit a seabird, but she'd been the pilot and couldn't see the back of the wings. Had something been hiding back there, trying to crash the plane? I didn't want to deal with this alone, so I made up my mind to bring it up when I was visiting the motorised mansion the next day. A bright morning gave way to heavy clouds and cold rain, and I was dreading the whole thing, but school ended and I entered the motorised manor, was led to the parlour, and sipped the tea Faraday bought, until Darlington came in with Heart of Darkness in her hand, and asked, "George, are you in love with anyone?" I made a strange shrill sound and nearly spit my tea, but stopped myself, swallowed, and gasped, "No." "I am." "Oh? What?" "Nothing. You aren't going to ask who?" Eh? I'm not asking.
William Cardinal.
Don't know him.
He's 2 grades above us. He and Stephen know each other. He's quite the athlete, and he's smart, and he'll be a doctor someday. But really he wants to write novels.
Huh.
So, he says your opinion of Emily Brondt's Wuthering Heights is odd. The way you support Heathcliff's revenge. The book itself describes that as a curse or the work of spirits. He says if you really read that book cackling with glee like you said, he says you must be very odd indeed.
I had indeed totally laughed my ass off reading Wuthering Heights. Go get him, Heathcliff. Good work. But sadly, he wasn't that effective, didn't accomplish all that much, and at the end the author tried to force a happy ending, which I found highly disappointing. I kind of remembered mentioning this while chatting with Darlington, but whatever the author intended, it's up to the reader how they respond to it. And not that I've ever tried to write one, but characters in a novel don't always do what the author intends. I've got no problems debating my take on the book with this William Cardinal, but I do question you bringing up his criticism of my take with me here. I don't mind if you criticise me, but using someone else's words to do it isn't right, Darlington. If you want to criticise me or talk shit about me or be mean to me, at least you use your own words. I'm sure William Cardinal didn't expect those words to reach you like this, so you're being rude to him too. Anyway, I'm not going to bother that book for you. I don't want to deal with you being rude about my take on it again, and if I can't be honest about my opinion, why should I borrow a book from you? I pushed the book back across the table to her.
Why are you mad?
Darlington said. I'm not mad, just surprised. I thought we were getting along, but then you suddenly attacked me. If you secretly didn't like me or weren't happy with what I think, don't pretend that we're friends. I don't have that many friends, so the last thing I want is to be disappointed by the ones I think I have.
Well, sorry. You can go now.
I will. I stood up and left the parlour. I ran into Faraday, thanked him for the tea, and was about to leave when he said,
"Oh, Master Joestar, a friend of yours was just here searching for you."
Eh? A friend of mine? I just lost one of the few I could call friend, and the other 2 were Stephen and Kenton. Here? Can you describe them?
He looked like a young boy, primary or middle school. He spoke Spanish at first. I led him over here to the other parlour.
Rain pounding down outside, he led me down a gloomy hallway, across the central hall, and into a room in the other wing. He knocked on the door, and it echoed dully.
"I'll take my leave here,"
Faraday said, and left, leaving me alone with my anxiety. I peered into the room, and saw nobody inside. A friend? A Spanish one? Had someone from the Canary Islands come pretending to be my friend? Stealing my nerves, I stepped through the door. When I saw who was standing in the back, my vision blurred, my legs shook, and my head spun so fast I could barely stand. "What?" I whispered, feeling myself about to topple.
"You've grown awfully tall since I last saw you."
He laughed, a laugh I hadn't heard since he vanished last summer in the Atlantic Ocean, since the day I thought he died. Suku Majuku. Asian faces did look young to Western eyes, but this wasn't really. "How are you?" How could he have known I'd be here? Tears welled up in my eyes.
"I exist now in eternity, in the final frontier,"
Sukumajuku said.
"but I expect I won't be there forever. There must be some meaning for me to have come back. Like I always said, everything has meaning. You wanted me here, or something needed me for your benefit. We have no time, my friend. By the way, where is this? There are no buildings this splendid on the Canary Islands."
The familiar sound of Sukumajuku's voice calmed me from my simple-minded emotional reaction, and I felt my mind waking up the way it had during our adventures together. Look carefully and think. Sukumajuku had said these words to me countless times. Look carefully. So I did. Sukumajuku was floating about 5 centimetres above the surface of the floor. I looked up and met his eye.
"Yes," he said. "It seems I can't really say I'm actually here. I'm not sure if I should tell you, but I'm currently in Japan, in the year 2012. I'm there with a different you, a Japanese boy completely unlike you, but also named Jorge Joestar. I've been transported to a place called the Arrow Cross House, and I've gotten caught up in another case."
2012?
That was 107 years from now. Another me, a Japanese Jorge Joestar, Arrow Cross House. I had no idea what he was talking about, but you're caught up in a case? Need help? Nah, the other Jorge Joestar's here, I'm sure it'll be fine. Probably. Like I said, I'm not here to get your help. I'm here to help you. Are you in some sort of danger right now? Danger? No, I mean, I don't have many friends, but I've made friends since moving to England. Basically, I'm fine. Oh, well that's good. So there must be some other reason. Oh, look! He jerked his chin at his left hand. From the wrist out it was fading, see-through. I see. I am Sukumajuku. I may be in one other place as well, he said cryptically. Sukumajuku smiled at me. I see. I'll need to cross the bridge. Somebody somewhere else has taken hold of my left hand. The palm is small, the fingers thin, so it must be a girl. And she needs you. Take my other hand, he said, holding out his right hand. I reached out to take it, then stopped. Why is it you're doing this? Sukumajuku laughed. Your beyond is making it happen. I'm sure this isn't a task just anyone could accomplish. For a miracle like this to occur, you need the name of God. God is words, words are names. This was even more cryptic, but he was rabbiting on about beyond again. This was definitely Sukumajuku, so I relaxed. I'd missed that too. Is your weird-ass name the name of God? Yes, Sukumajuku is 910 910 9. If you flip the kanji for 9, you get the astrological symbol for Jupiter, Jupiter being the Roman name for the Greek god Zeus, the god of gods. The kanji for 10 is a cross. So my name is 3 all-powerful gods, linked together by 2 crosses. If God is the Trinity, God can be split into 3. I'm in the Arrow Cross House. I'm here, and I'm trying to connect to a third me. You have to go to where he is. Take my hand. I laughed at the note of authority he placed on that command, felt a wave of exhilaration wash over me, like I'd not seen since our adventures together, and took his hand. The nature of my name suggests that we'll meet again. One more time, Sukumajuku said, and everything faded to black. In the darkness, the hand I was holding no longer belonged to Sukumajuku. A small palm and thin fingers. A girl's hand. She seemed to be as surprised as me, and in darkness so thick I couldn't see my own nose, I heard her ask, Eh? Who? And shock and fear struck us both upside the head, like our brains had been replaced with gas. It's me, Lisa, I said. That was all she needed. George, why are you here? I couldn't begin to explain the why or how of it, but the Lisa holding my hand in the darkness was definitely real, more so than Sukumajuku had been. Calm down, Lisa. Where are we? Rome. In an underground temple nobody has set foot in for over 1,000 years. How can you possibly be here? I can't believe it.